Now, considering the fact that this illness was not quickly detected, they initially thought he had malaria, and were treating him for that until he started hemorrhaging. Then they suspected, considering where he was coming from, that he could have Ebola, so they quarantined him and did the needful. Considering that it wasn't Ebola that was the first suspect, and he could have had contact with other people before then, and these people to have gone on to have contact with other people, do you think that we really stand at any serious risk? How quickly does this Ebola go around?
Like I said, it's highly infectious. The important thing is to have high index of suspicion. Unfortunately, those who came in contact with him at the time they were with him, who never knew that it was Ebola virus disease was having, could be at risk if they have contact with secretions from his body. But if that doesn't occur,
that includes the medical staff as well, right?
Yes, medical staff. They are even the most at risk people in this regards. Because most times when somebody is sick, they are the ones that get close to the person. You examine the person, you touch the person, and then the person could sneeze, the person could vomit. You take blood samples, and then you give injections. So there are risks attached to that, especially when it comes to health workers taking care of them. And then, when the health worker is lost, it's a loss to the nation, because you know how many people that health worker will eventually attend to. So we need to be very, very careful and when it comes to health workers. But one important thing about this is for the health workers to take standard precautions in taking care of every patient. This time around, whoever that you think is sick, that has malaria or that has fever, headache, sore throat, and then don't wait until they start vomiting blood or blood start coming out from the orifices like the nostrils, the ears, even in the urine or in the feces. You don't wait until you get to that level. You make sure that you take standard precaution measures like hand washing frequently, and then whatever you use for one patient, you don't use it for another patient.
The incubation period, from the time of contracting the virus, when does it really manifest? Because a lot of people...
The incubation period is 2 to 21 days. It can be as short as 2 days, as long as 21 days. But in most cases, you have it within 5 to 12 days. So it therefore means before the person starts manifesting the disease,
he must have had contact with people.
Yes, exactly. He could have spread it to people. So what we need to do is to create awareness, to let people know. When you see people that are sick, be careful the way you get close to them. And then if you have to, especially for the health workers, use your face mask, use your PPE, personal and protective equipment, and wash your hands frequently. And then again, there is what we call respiratory hygiene, like the use of the face mask. And then when you want the patient to cough or to breathe, you turn the head of the patient away from you, and so that if the patient is bringing out anything, it doesn't get in touch with you. And then you make sure that you avoid cut, because this virus gets into the body through the skin that is has been impaired, when the integrity of the skin or the mucous membrane has been impaired. The skin is what is visible, that what we see, but the mucous membrane had
so
this
as simple
part
as
of
hand washing, it can help.
Yes, it can help, because for instance, if you have the virus, if the secretions from the person has been thrown into the environment and the environment is contaminated, someone else who is not in contact with the patient can indirectly get it.
But it's not airborne.
If the person sneezes,
The liquid.
and the person coughs, because it's in the body secretions. Do you understand?
So if one happens to be God forbid, within that area, the person sneezes, and you're just breathing quietly, as you say, JJ, your own area, and you're breathing, you could be at risk.
Yeah, you could be at risk. That's why they say people who are at close contact with the patient, close contact. When the person sneezes, of course, you look at the effect of gravity on the saliva or whatever is discharged. Before it gets to you, if you're at an appreciable distance, it settles down on the floor. But if you are close to the person, you could breathe in indirectly. God forbid if one has problem, maybe wound in the nostrils or along the throat, and then it can get into the system through that.
You know, so we all need to take precautions.
Or somebody sneezes.
Generally, I mean, we're asked to take precautions when somebody sneezes, but even more now. The symptoms are very close to that of malaria. Should everybody who has symptoms of malaria be extra careful or be tested for Ebola?
No, yeah, for now, because you don't know who has been in contact, who has been in touch, and then people move around, and then somebody who is in Ikoyi now, and the next 20 minutes the person is in Badagry, or in the next 1 hour, or the person is in Kado, because you don't know whether the person is going straight to the airport. I meet other people. So because of that, so in Nigeria now, we need to be extra careful. It's not just even Lagos, it's all over the country. But it doesn't mean every case that you see is Ebola. But what we need to do is to take extraordinary precautions to limit its spread.
Do we have fruit bats in Nigeria?
Fruit bats in Nigeria, I know there are bats in Nigeria, and you need experts to tell us the species of bats that we have.
So they are the host, but it doesn't affect them.
They are the reservoir of the infection. And sometimes, and it is a zoonotic disease. It naturally resides or affects animals, but once man gets in touch with such animals, it can be transmitted to man and it starts affecting man. And apart from fruit bats, other accidental hosts that have been identified include gorilla, chimpanzee, and then similar species of animals. I mean, that category. So we need to be very careful, especially those who keep pets or those who visit zoo. So should be very careful.
So how can this be diagnosed at an early stage?
At its high index of suspicion, usually it comes like with non-specific symptoms. Like I said, fever, could be headache, you can have sore throat, you can have vomiting and diarrhea, that is passing frequent watery stools. Then again, it gets to the later stage will be vomiting of blood or coughing of blood or blood coming out from the nostrils or from the ears or from the eyes or even from the skin. There could be bleeding into the skin. Those are the late signs of it. But initially, when you say this, if you suspect that this person has been in contact with somebody who has been diagnosed with Ebola virus, they can take blood sample from that person and send it to the WHO lab for confirmation. Meanwhile, such a person would probably need to be isolated, and you use what we call nursing barrier method in treating the...
Sorry, WHO lab, we don't have the laboratory?
WHO lab, for instance, because of this Ebola virus disease, there is one in Dakar, in Senegal, because you have the outbreaks in the place.
Okay, we'll revisit this matter, but we'll have to let it go today. Here, Dr. Disu Oyewoga, thank you for coming on this morning.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, don't worry, we'll get back to this. We'll be back after this. Join us again. Welcome back. Let's run you through some comments. And yes, that's a tweet from Fons. It says, if Arik was operating in another country, it wouldn't exist by now. But let's flip over to your emails. Okay.
No, I still have tweets. Yeah, time and space will not allow me to chronicle the numerous dehumanizing treatment my wife and I have received from Arik. That's from Kinsley.
Okay, then the email from Francis says, well, morning guys, words can't express my excitement over this endemic and degrading, even unbecoming attitude of this so perceived untouchable air carrier, Arik Air. He says, believe me, I have a pretty strong feeling that these appropriate authorities are very much aware of this development. I think to a large proportion that our Nigerian aviation industry or organization have kind of become like our Nigerian police, who have totally lost their respect and confidence from the citizens of this great country. I feel that the Nigerian aviation regulatory government, he says they've sold their birthright to Arik in particular. If not, why will the plant fields grown more than he who plants the water? Well, okay.
It's a proverb. You
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
The plant is not supposed to grow taller than the farmer
Well,
who planted it, and if
okay.
it does,
Let's quickly
they
see
should cut
what
it to size.
Diamond has here. He says, well, I have personally encountered the same problem with Arik. I always take my time to have my protocol service providers to arrange my flights and book my choice of seat ahead. On this faithful trip for Taka to Lagos, they allocated my business class seat to an ex-minister. I got on board, met the ex-minister on my seat, discussing with another pal. I stood politely and signaled the ex-minister and patiently waited for him to highlight to leave my seat, but to no avail. Upon contacting Arik's supervisor on board, knowing that the man was an ex-minister, he decided to lie in fear and hesitated to speak to the ex-minister. Upon my insistence, well, the minister left, and but describing me as rude. Thanks to Arik.
Well, Deleg is chronicling his own as well, and he says, thanks guys for bringing this to the fore today. I bought a return ticket online for a flight from Port Harcourt to Lagos in February. On Sunday, the day of my return flight, the flight that was meant for 2 p.m. was eventually cancelled at about 8:45 p.m. I had no money on me, and the Arik staff on ground threatened to beat me and an elderly lady for daring to ask for a refund or be accommodated in a hotel for the night. It was an unknown bureau de change malam that lent me 20,000 naira for my hotel that night. Yet, we were never lifted till about 4 p.m. the next day. He said he vowed never to fly Arik again, even if it's the only operator available globally. That's according to Daily.
Well, IK Peter is the next one we've got for you. He says, thanks guys for this opportunity. Even the Arik counter staff that issue our tickets are very, very unprofessional, especially the Calabar office. They shout at customers as if the tickets are given to us for free. Please help Nigerians on this matter. Okay, so there you have it. Well, that's all much. That's how far time will allow us, but there's a lot of mails on this, and we will continue for this week and keep sending those comments of yours. Whatever challenge you've got, send it, and then you also don't forget to go to a Consumer Protection Council, FAN, and all those regulatory authorities and state your complaint.
And for those of you who have gone, because some people have gone to Consumer Protection, I did hear one or two gentlemen saying they had been to Consumer Protection that particular Friday. Do let us know what you came out with. Did they answer you? Did they just tell you it was a Nigerian thing? Did they raise their hands up in helplessness? These are some of the things we'd like to take on so that the aviation minister can know what work he has to do. Definitely enough ground for him to prove his mettle. Okay, so there you have the show for today. We thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Happy holiday. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Well, thank you so much for watching. Eid Mubarak. Many thanks. I'm Sulaiman. See you again.